Welcome to Learning Photography with Duck. Here's your host, Duck.
Good evening, everybody. I want to thank you, first of all, for joining me tonight in this really crummy weather that we're having with all this snow. I'm sure a lot of people are probably all snowed in, and from the weather reports, it sounds like we're getting more than they predicted, which is, I guess it's okay by me. I have no place to be, right? Except here. So thank you for joining me. We got a small handful, but we'll do our best to keep you guys entertained. Tonight's topic is going to be on using keywords in Lightroom for helping you organize and recall your images. And for the most part, you know, a lot of people just kind of use the surfaced aspects of keywording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig a little deeper and show you some of the neat things that you can do with keywords that you may not be aware of, including how to nest them, how to organize them, and how to use them to build automated collections. I almost said galleries, but no, collections. So anyhow, let me switch over to where's my Lightroom, and I'm going to share my screen to this. Okay. All right. Everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. These slides are from my Lightroom intensive. So it says keywords and presets. We're actually not going to be getting into the presets part of tonight's talk. It's just going to be keywords. Okay. All right. Let me make sure I'm in the right screen. I'm actually going to sit down tonight. Okay. Keywords. And keywords is one of those things where there's wrong slide. How do we get to the end? It's a love-hate relationship with a lot of people who use Lightroom. I think part of it is because a lot of people don't really understand how Lightroom handles keywords. And also because it's often an added step that you have to consciously stop and think about what it is that you're going to do as you are importing your images. But if you have a very large collection, right? If you've been photographing for any number of years, and if you're a very active photographer and you have not just hundreds of images, but maybe thousands of images in your collection, in your catalog, going back to find some of these images can be a pain in the ass. Oftentimes, we default to relying on memory. And when that fails us, we default to just blind searching through folders, looking to hopefully run into the image that we need. Okay? So hopefully, I'll give you a little bit of an understanding about how keywords work within Lightroom, how you can utilize them to your benefit in order to make your life a little simpler. And the good thing about it is that what I'll be discussing today doesn't have to be something that you need to implement, fresh. This is something that if you have an extensive library, you can walk into it, and moving forward, you'll apply some of these tricks. The nice thing is you can always work backwards through your collection and try to get your collection a little bit up to date. Okay. So the two biggest reasons that I advocate for spending a little bit of time with keywords is, first of all, searchability. Like I mentioned, if you have an extensive catalog, trying to find not necessarily that one image, but that one theme across multiple images. Say, for example, you decided that you want to create a calendar. You're going to give calendars as a personalized gift to your family and friends, and you need 12 solid images, and you want to keep it to a theme. Maybe you enjoy photographing flowers. Maybe you enjoy photographing birds, right? And you want to make a collection of your best bird photos and compile it into a calendar. So you're going to need 13. All right. Now, not 12, because typically a calendar will have January through January, not January through December. Okay. So it would be nice to go into your collection and say, okay, I want, instead of me manually going through my library, I want to be able to type in specific keywords and have Lightroom show me only those images that meet the criteria of what I'm searching for. Okay? So that's one reason. The other reason is organization. By having a good keyword structure, you can organize your images into various collections within Lightroom. So, here I'm using the example of a calendar. But if you are a very creative person and you have multiple projects going on, you may have, a couple of calendars. You may even want to say, I want to put together a little coffee table book. I want to, have a photo album for my family. I want to have a separate photo album for my friends. All right. Something that you can publish on a personal website. So Lightroom allows you to put very curated collections together that you can then export as a book. You can export as a gallery. All right. Or you can just have it as a collection for you to manually insert into whatever project you're working on. All right. So these collections are very handpicked, curated collections that are organized based on criteria that comes from keywords. Okay. Now, there are two types of searches that we are all familiar with. All right. One is the internal one, and the other one is external. External means that you're going to think of Google. Google, Yahoo, Bing, those are all external searches. Internal searches are within a closed system, and that's what Lightroom is. It's a closed system. Now, the thing with external searches is that when we utilize those types of search functions, we are relying on somebody else to do the heavy lifting with keywording. All right. And if you're aware of how these search engines operate, they send out robots that collect data. And from that data, they compile, lists of keywords that you can use to search. With an internal search engine, you have to do that kind of manual lifting. And like I mentioned at the beginning, this is where a lot of people have their hang-ups, is because it requires a little bit of effort. All right. And for a lot of beginners who are not very comfortable with Lightroom or aren't aware of some of the intricacies of Lightroom, they may not even know where to place their keywords or how to place their keywords or even how to properly keyword an image. Because, as we'll get into it, there are not really right and wrong, but there are better methods and least favorable methods to keywording. Okay. All right. So what we'll be dealing with Lightroom is internal searches. Okay. Now, there are a few rules that I want you to keep in mind when it comes to keywording images. And the first one is to define your keywords visually. Meaning, well, I'll expand on this in a little bit. But to begin with, what you're going to be searching for are elements that are within an image. All right, whether it's the subject or the location or, maybe an activity that is happening within that image. Very seldom do we look for images where we're going by something like mood, dark, gloomy, all right? Unless your work requires that, all right? So if, for example, if you are a stock photographer and your images are going to be going to a stock site, emotions become a little bit more higher on the list of keywording dues than for the average, shooter. All right. For the average shooter, we just want to keep it as simple as possible and hit all the broad strokes. And that usually means defining what's in your image with a very casual visual inspection. All right. The next one tends to be a little bit more difficult, but I'll also show you how Lightroom can help you with this. And that is to be consistent with your keywording. For example, if I say rose and roses, in your head, you're picturing the flower, all right? And usually when I say rose, you envision a single rose. And when you hear the word roses, you're thinking of multiple roses, all right? More than one. However, those are two distinctly different keywords. So Lightroom, well, actually any search engine that is text-based is going to see the term rose and the term roses and not distinguish the fact that they both are talking about the same object. Okay? So what I mean by being consistent is I want you to pick one and avoid the other. So this is what I mean by this. You have a picture of a rose. You can tag it with the word rose. Okay? If you have a picture of, let's say, a dozen roses, if you tag it with the word roses, if you search for the term rose, it's going to ignore it. But if we analyze it, it is 12 individual roses. So you can use the term rose, even though there are multiple of them, and it'll get you a more, what's the word? You'll get mental block here. Your hits will be a lot more consistent. You'll get better results because of that consistency. All right. So instead of birds, say bird. All right. So for my example, I tend to keep it to the singular because I know even with the singular, I can apply it to the plural. All right. So that helps in being able to locate not just the individual, but multiples within an image. The other thing about being consistent is, for example, if you use the word rose, also make sure you use the word flower. All right, because a rose is a type of flower. So you can do a search on flowers. Okay, so if all you do is enter the term flower and you need a rose, you're gonna cut yourself short. You're gonna have to wade through all your flower images in order to get a rose. Vice versa, if all you need is a rose, or I mean, if what you need are a bunch of different flowers, you can type in the word flower and expand your search that way. Or if you need a daisy, expand your search that way. Okay? So try to keep it consistent as you enter your keywords. The one nice thing about Lightroom is that once a keyword is entered into the catalog, when you go to enter a keyword, as you start typing, it will autofill based on what you type. All right. So if I can't remember whether I used the term rose or roses, as I type ROS, it will automatically fill it in, and then I can just hit the enter key and it'll automatically choose the term rose. Or if I've been using roses all along, I will see it. Okay. So there are often times where it'll be a subject that I don't shoot very often, so I may not remember how I cataloged it the last time. So if I start typing out what I think I used the last time, it will autocomplete it and it'll kick up the suggestion, and then I don't have to think about it anymore. I just make my choice based on that suggestion. Okay? So be consistent. The other thing is a little bit more advanced. This is for people who want to really, really delve into utilizing keywords to the fullest. And that is, you can organize your keywords into hierarchies. All right. And what I mean by hierarchies is, let's keep the flowers theme. Okay. Flowers is the general term for anything that falls into that category, including roses and daisies and tulips and violets and everything else that is categorized as a flower. Now, if you specialize in taking photos of plants, the next higher level above flowers may be plants. And then within plants, you can have a subcategory of flowers. You can have a subcategory of shrubs. You can have a subcategory of trees, however you want to organize it. Okay, so you're able to use hierarchies, but this is a little bit more advanced, and I'll break it down as we get into the actual Photoshop thing. Okay, all right. So how hierarchies work is they're nested. Okay, and part of using hierarchies is also in organization. All right. If, for example, let's say, for example, instead of using the common name of flowers, you decide that because you specialize in this topic, and maybe you want to, put together a book on native Northeast flowers. All right, or native Connecticut flowers. And you want to not only give the common name, but you also want to give the Latin name. You can build this all within a nice compartmentalized cluster where all you have to do is find one of those terms and Lightroom will fill in the rest. All right, and when you do something like this, you have to keep in mind that for your own sake, you need to build certain cues, all right, that'll keep yourself organized. So, for example, whenever we make lists, we usually have a heading for our list. All right, so we may have a main heading, we may even have a subheading, and then we have a category, and then within that category, we have the individual items. And then we have a second category, individual items, third category, individual items, and so forth. So we need some kind of visual cue to help us distinguish that what we're looking at within Lightroom is indeed a heading and not the actual keyword. Because by default, keep this in mind, Lightroom will want to just enter keywords. All right, that is the default setting. So when you type something into the keyword thing, it automatically says, oh, that's a keyword. You actually have to manually change it if you want to keep it as a heading or as a subheading or category heading, okay? So the way I keep myself organized is with special characters, okay? Now, I've mentioned this before when organizing your image folders. Your folders are organized according to how your operating system organizes files. And that is alphanumerically, all right? And it starts off with a small group of characters, then numbers, and then letters in that order, okay? So when you're building a hierarchy, those special characters like the pound sign, the ampersand, the question mark, the exclamation point, those all float to the top. Below that would be the numbers, with the number 1 being at the top, the number 0 being at the bottom. And then you go A, B, C, D, E, F, G in that order. All right, so everybody understands this. It's the same exact way with keywords. Lightroom is going to organize it according to that structure. So anything with one of those special characters will always float to the top. And then it'll be numbers and then letters underneath. Okay? So what I tend to do is I say to myself, okay, for my level 1 headings. All right. This is my major heading. Okay. So for example, I got 2 examples, here. Oh, here. Where am I? Right here. Animals. Okay. That's a major category. There's so many subcategories that can fit into that. Or vehicles. All right. Let's say you're an avid automotive enthusiastic photographer, and you want to photograph different makes and models of vehicles, not just cars, but trucks and motorcycles and maybe the occasional airplane or boat. All right. So vehicle is the main category. So to keep myself organized, I place an exclamation mark in front of that, and I make my headings all caps. Okay. Make my headings all caps. That way it shouts out at me. Okay. Just like the internet, capital letters is like you're shouting. So these headings shout out at me because they are in caps, all caps. And because it has the exclamation point, it lets me know that's my top level heading. And then underneath that, I will put my subcategories. All right. What I term my global headings, and that I usually precede with a single ampersand. All right. So this lets me know it's the first because it's a 1 singular ampersand. And I call it, that would be my global heading. Okay. Global heading is, your major groups. Okay. So if we're talking about animals, all right, animals encompass a wide range of global headings. All right. You can have pets. You can have farm animals. You can have wild animals. You can have rodents. Okay. You can have all kinds of, more global headings. All right. And then below that, that's when you can start really defining your lists. Okay. With a local heading. So for example, in this case, we have pets. And then underneath pets, we have dogs, but we can also have cats. We can have guinea pigs. We can have rats and mice. Okay. We can have snakes, lizards. All right. So I usually use 2 ampersands in front of my heading because this lets me know it's the second level. Second level because I use 2 ampersands. Okay. And then below that are my group headings. Okay. Which could be, depending on how you structure your lists, can further refine your hierarchy. All right. And I usually use a hashtag. Okay. A single hashtag for my heading. All right. And this is usually the last heading on the list. All right. So the 4th level heading, you might call it. All right. And then anything below that will be an actual keyword. Okay. And for keywords, I typically keep to the convention that all my keywords are typically not capitalized. They're all lowercase. All right. The only time I will capitalize a word is if it's a proper noun, like somebody's name. Okay. At that point, I will capitalize. All right. Again, this falls back to what I said earlier about maintaining a certain level of consistency. All right. Typically, one image will have multiple keywords. And when you export those keywords are comma delimited. All right. So if we think about how we write, when we are making a list with commas, we usually do not capitalize words unless it's a proper noun. So I keep to that convention within my keyword structure. Okay. And that's pretty much it. So now, this is what I use. This is an example of how I organize my keywords. All right. If this system appeals to you, by all means, go ahead and use it. But if you say in your head, you know what, that doesn't make sense, I would rather do this, then by all means, do it. All right. You're not locked into how I do it. You can personalize this however you want. All right. I just want you to understand the reasoning behind how I organize these in order to separate what I consider a heading by making them all caps from a keyword, which is all lowercase, or if it's a proper noun, a capitalized lowercase word. Okay. So it's just to create a distinction. Make sense? All right. Now, part of getting yourself organized is the fact that you can use keywords to automate certain processes. And within Lightroom, we have collections. We have what are called sets, which is basically just a group of collections. So think of it as a filing cabinet. All right. Your sets would be the filing cabinet. And when you open up a drawer, you have inside there, you have folders. And those are your collections and your smart collections. So the collections and smart collections are folders that reside within sets, which would be your filing cabinet drawer. All right. Now, the difference between collections and smart collections is that collections, you have to manually add an image into that collection. All right. And these are virtual collections, meaning that you don't have to physically drag your image into a folder. All you got to do is let Lightroom know that, hey, I want this added into, this particular collection. And it just makes a earmark to the original. All right. Now, the nice thing about having a decent set of keywords is that you can build a smart collection based on specific keywords. All right. So going back to that, the calendar project example, that you want to, create a calendar of flowers. Okay. You can start off by creating a smart collection that collects anything and everything in your catalog that is labeled as a flower. Okay. Now, yes, this is very broad, but the beautiful thing about smart collections is that we can refine it. We can say, okay, I don't want you to dump 2,000 flower images into this collection. I want you to be a little bit more critical about it. All right. I want you to only put in images that not only has the word flower, but also has a 5-star rating. Or maybe you use colors. Maybe you say, all right, all my green images are the ones that I really, really like. So I want all my flower images that has a green rating. All right. Or all my flower images that has a picked flag rating. All right. So you can dwindle down and remove things from these smart collections that you really don't want in there. Now, furthermore, one thing that I do is I create very specific keywords. that have absolutely nothing to do with the content of the image, but rather what I intend to use that image for. So, for example, I'm a commercial photographer. Every so often, I'll be in my studio photographing something that's not for a client, but rather for my portfolio. So what I'll do is at that point, once I've shot whatever it is that I want to shoot for the portfolio, and I've gone and edited the image and I get it looking the way I want and it's ready to go, I will give it a hashtag portfolio keyword, and my smart collection will automatically take that image and put it into its collection. All right. So that's another thing that you can use keywords for, is for organizing your images in a very curated manner. Okay. All right. So that's my explanation. All right. That's my explanation. And before we get into the actual, showcase, I'm going to open it up for questions if anybody has any questions at this point. No questions? Everybody follow me so far. What I mean by headings and keywords, right? That should be fairly simple concept to understand. Okay. All right. Now, there are a couple of places that we can interact with keywords. And the first one is when we import an image. And this should become second nature to you as you move forward. If you're not doing this already, I very, very strongly advocate that you start doing this. And that is entering what I call global keywords for your shoot. All right. Do I have, I'll just, let me plug in a card here. All right. I've already imported these, but just to show you, all right, what I mean. All right, I need to stretch my legs here for a second. Ugh. All right. When you import your images into Lightroom, all right, and you open up the import dialog box, over on the right-hand side, you're going to see, oh, let me see, hold on one second. Do we got, I am missing something. Give me 1 second. Let me start this. All right. Do I have it? There we go. Okay. Over on the right-hand side, when you import, you have all these tabs that allow you to make decisions about how you're going to handle your images as you import. Okay. For example, don't import suspected duplicates. That should always be on. Okay. If you rename your images, that goes in here. But the third one down is apply during import. Apply during import. All right. And it allows you to apply a developed setting and what kind of metadata you want to add. All right. So this is a preset that you can add to the metadata of your images. And then right below that is a field for keywords. All right. And this is your initial entry of keywords to your images. Okay. But because you are importing in batches, you can't get too finite with your keywords. All right. Meaning, for example, if you go on a meetup down at the beach to photograph seagulls, okay, and for the most part, you're taking pictures of the seagulls and maybe, some of the landscape, but at one point, you notice somebody who's doing some kite surfing, and you decide that you're going to snap on your telephoto lens and shoot some images. Okay? So you come home with 300 images, but out of those 300, only 50 of them are of the kite surfer. So when you enter your global keywords, what you're not going to enter is the term kite surfer, because it does not apply to the rest of the 250 images that you took that day. What you are going to do is maybe hit the keyword beach, maybe even the name of the beach, the city that the beach is located in, and other global keywords that relate to the shoot that you did. So if it was with a particular meetup group, maybe the name of the meetup group. Okay. After they're imported, all right, you're going to have all those images with 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 keywords. All right. And then after they're imported, I didn't want to do that. Okay. Anyway, after they're imported, at that point, you select those 50 images of the kite surfer and give those images the keywords that apply specifically to that set. Okay. Now, if you've ever been on a meetup that goes to multiple locations, let's say the meetup, you start at the beach and then you decide that you're going to go to the park for the second half of the meetup. All right. At that point, I usually tell people, even though it's the same meetup, it's one meetup, and it's on the same day, all right, consider it as 2 different shoots and import them as 2 separate shoots. So what you'll do is you'll import the beach images first. Once they're in your catalog, go ahead and rename the file to reflect the fact that those are the beach shots. Go back and then import all the park images. And that way, that set of park images will have its own unique set of global keywords. All right, and its own unique folder separate from the beach, even though they were both done at the same day for the same group. All right, it's just a way of organizing in a little bit more of a logical way. Okay, and then of course, once you go into edit, at that point is where I would say, all right, put in your individualized keywords. All right. Okay, so in that import screen, that's your first place where you can import or where you can add keywords. The second place is right here in the grid. Okay. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. right? Of course, the first way is right here where it says the keywording tab. Okay, keywording tab. All right, if you see this right here, this box is the same type of box. Yeah, building. I shouldn't have done what I did. Those are all images that I didn't need. This is the same type of box that was in the import dialog box. So you can go ahead and enter keywords that are comma delimited that apply to anything that you have selected. All right, that's important. All right, you have to manually select the images that you want to tag through this method. Okay. So if you have, 12 images and 6 of them have a dog, you're going to pick those 6 out of the 12 and label it dog. All right. Or if you know the dog, label it with the dog's name. And then out of those 12, maybe 4 of them, your son or grandson is in it. You're going to tag those. You're going to select those 4, and you're going to tag those with local keywords. Okay, local keywords. Now, there's 2 schools of thought on this. And it all depends on what you are comfortable with your workflow. Okay? Now, here's the scenario. You go out on a photo shoot, all right? And I would say 99.99% of us do this. We take multiple shots of the same subject. Because we take one shot, we look at it, we refine the composition, we modify our exposure, we make these little changes to make the image better. So by the time we get home, we're only going to use 1 out of 10 images that we shot of that subject, because we know that the first 9 images were all leading up to that one final shot. So oftentimes, those 9 previous shots aren't really your keepers. They will go into your seconds folder, or maybe even they'll get deleted if you are that adventurous. All right, so one school of thought is, I'll just label them all with a keyword. The other school of thought is, I will only keyword the one image that I edit. All right, so you can see that there's going to be a benefit to both. All right, the benefit to labeling all with that local keyword is that all those images will come up in a search. Okay, and of course, if you don't want all of them, you can always further refine your search by giving the search criteria the additional search qualifier of, say, okay, search for this keyword, but only if it's got a flag, only if it's got the color blue, only if it's got 5 stars. All right? But this again goes back to, how do you work? What is your workflow like? Are you consistent with labeling your images that you want as keepers with the 5 stars or 4 stars, or maybe you use 3 stars, or the color purple or the color green? All right. I tend to use the color green to indicate that I have edited that image. So for me, I would default to looking for a keyword with a flag and the color green. And that's going to narrow my search down and avoid all those extras. So even if I label all 10 images with that local keyword, I know that when I search, I can search down to that one image because I'm going to qualify it with the addition of a flag and a color. All right? Make sense? Okay. Of course, the flip side to that is, well, I really don't care about those previous 9 images. So I'm not going to spend time tagging those with a keyword. I'm just going to devote time of keywording that one image that I edited. And that's fine. All right. Because the flip side to that is if you find that, guess what else you're going to find because it's in the same folder? The other 9. They just won't come up in your search, but because of how you work, you'll know it's there. And if it's not there, it's because you deleted them. All right. So how you want to go forward with your keywording is very dependent on your workflow. And those are 2 typical ones. Okay. All right. However, the takeaway for all that is at this point is when you need to do all your local keywords. All right. That identify people, all right, by name, all right. Maybe identify the activity they're doing. The location will already be there because you took care of that in the global. You might even get into very specific colors, very specific, if you're doing landscapes, you might want to specify what the weather was like. All right. Was the sun out? Was it sunny? Was it rainy? Was it cloudy? All right. These kind of specifications will help down the road really narrow your search. All right. So let's go back to that calendar idea. You're a landscape photographer. You want to do a series of very moody landscapes. So you don't want all the sunny ones. You want the overcast ones. You want the rainy ones. You want the ones with, really dynamic skies. All right. So you're going to look for the gloomy, the rainy, the overcast tags. Okay. All right. So that's entering your key tags right in here. Okay. Right below that is a little thing that says keyword suggestions. Keyword suggestions. All right. And this is going to change from time to time because this list is curated by Lightroom. And Lightroom has been moving, forward into artificial intelligence, learning certain tasks in order to help you do your job a little bit easier, a little bit faster. All right. And one of the elements that they've done is they've put AI into the keywording. And in this section, it analyzes the images that you've put in. It analyzes the global keywords. All right. And based on your past examples with those keywords, it will automatically populate this list. And you have up to 9. It'll give you 9 choices. All right. So the nice thing about it is instead of typing it into the text box, you can actually just go ahead and click on any one of these headings. It'll automatically populate it for you. All right. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it's not. Okay. Where it's helpful is in kind of kickstarting your memory. All right. Because it's making choices based on your past experience. All right. You say, well, I've labeled a similar set with these keywords. All right. It'll populate that and you say, oh, wow. here's a keyword I completely forgot, but it's in the suggestions. All right. And then it's helpful in that respect. All right. The one that I like is the one right below it, which is keyword sets. Keyword sets. All right. And right next to that, there's a little drop down. Okay. These keyword sets are sets that you can create. All right. Each keyword set allows you to save up to 9 keywords. All right. So it's not, an overly extensive set. However, it's a great tool, especially if you're a commercial or retail photographer, right? For example, if you are a wedding photographer or if you are a portrait headshot photographer, you can populate these sets with keywords that you use over and over and over again. Again, think about being consistent. This helps you be a little bit more consistent with your keywords because it applies to a specific job that you're doing. So, for example, if you are a wedding photographer, okay, you know that when you import all those images, there are going to be global keywords. All right. For example, the global keywords may be the venue that you are at or the church that you are at. Hopefully you're going to download them in sets, right? Your church shots get downloaded into one folder. The reception gets loaded into a separate folder. The bride and groom family shots that that you take are into a different folder. Okay. And each one of those folders may have a very unique list associated with them. All right. Now, the goal of the keyword sets is, excuse me. Sorry about that. The thing about these keyword sets is you don't want to use them for global keywords. That's handled on ingest. This is for local keywords. All right. So, for example, with the wedding, all right, every wedding has a bride. Every wedding has a groom. Every wedding has bridesmaid, groomsmen, the whole 9 yards. However, you're not going to label every single image that you took for that wedding with those keywords, groom, bride, because the groom and the bride may not be appearing in every single one of those shots. All right. This is where these sets come into place. You may have a wedding set, and in the wedding set, you're going to have all the major characters, the groom, the bride, bridesmaids, groomsmen, father, mother. All right. Again, you're limited to only 9. Okay. So you might want to say, well, those are kind of easy. I can remember those. All right. However, I might say, I might want to reserve this list for something a little bit different, and put something like buffet, or the type of shot that it is, Maybe you want to reserve it for this shot is going to be a masthead shot. This shot's going to be, a full page spread. This shot is going to be an inset. All right. So you can use this, all right, to keep yourself organized based on your workflow. And because these aren't your typical keywords, having a list set helps you maintain that consistency across the board. All right. So that I'm going to be putting together a book for the bridal party. All right. So as I'm going through, I want to be able to very quickly mark very specific images for specific tasks. So you're going to populate this keyword set to that goal. All right. Make sense? All right. So now if you notice with mine, the one that I have, this one usually resides here all the time. I have a bunch. All right. But I usually keep this one on top. It's my hashtags. All right. And I talked about this earlier, my hashtag portfolio. Hashtag portfolio. Whenever I edit an image that I know is going to go into my portfolio, all I got to do is click that little hashtag portfolio button right there, and it's going to automatically tag that image with that keyword. And it will automatically get imported into my smart collection that is built specifically to trap that hashtag. All right. So I have it, set up for, my behind the scenes, my Unsplash, a couple of project folders, things like that. Okay. So you can create your own lists. And I highly suggest you do it, right? Any questions on this particular feature, the keywording tab here? Any questions? Everybody following me okay, though, right? All right. I can't see any pictures, so I'm assuming everybody's shaking their heads yes.
I'm good, Doc.
Awesome. All right. Right below that tab is another tab called Keyword List. And this is just the dump file to everything that you tag. Everything. All right. Now, the first thing you're going to notice right off the bat is I have major headings: animals, birds. I have one for Connecticut. All right. When I went to Ireland, I created a set just for Ireland. All right. Massachusetts, New York, because sometimes I travel. Okay. I started playing around one with occupations. I did that for a workshop. People. Here's another one specifically for a workshop. Stock photos. All right. Maine. All right. And then I have some that kind of don't fall into any of those that probably should. Family, Connecticut. All right. The one thing I will warn you, all right, if you're not very diligent about it, this little list can get out of hand very, very easily. All right. So please don't judge me. Mine is not the most organized. Okay. Mine is not the most organized. All right. Because it's been a while since I've actually sat with it. Okay. But you'll notice that every so often there's one that has a little side arrow. And those are, have sub categories. Actually not subcategories. They're called aliases. All right. And I'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. But you'll notice that, right at the very top, I have, birds. Oh, if I toggle down, all right, it'll give me the common name. It's got the Latin name. All right. I'm not into bird photography. I just kind of did this as an example. All right. So this is a perfect example of how you can organize your list. All right. So the exclamation point. All right. Exclamation point is my main heading. Okay. I could very easily have put this underneath animals. All right. But if you specialize in one particular type of animal, it makes sense to have that its own category, right? And that's why this one is by itself, because even though it falls under the category of animals, there are many, many photographers who just prefer to shoot birds. They'll shoot other animals, but for the most part, they prefer shooting birds. All right. So it makes sense for somebody like that to keep that category as the main heading. Doesn't make sense to do it otherwise. All right. Now the subcategories, all right, can be done in however way you want. All right. In this case, this example was for somebody who specializes in birds. So they are familiar with the Latin names of birds. All right. Me, I'm not. Sometimes I have even a hard time with the common name. All right. That's a robin. I didn't know. It looked like a bird to me. Okay. But you can have it organized by the Latin name or the species name or the clade or whatever format works best for you. But it can very easily be switched around so that the common name is here. And then below that, it automatically fills in the Latin names. Okay? So if you're not up on the Latin names, you can say, oh, well, here's birds. Oh, here's Canada goose. And then underneath that would be the Latin name. So you can structure it however you want. But the nice thing about this is that when you click on any one of these, all right, right here, right next to it, you're going to see a little checkbox. All right. If I click on that checkbox, it's going to tag everything that's selected with everything within that checkbox and below. Okay. So it's going to give it the name Canada Goose. Okay. Actually, let me go ahead. I'm going to say edit keyword tag. All right. Canada Goose. All right. If I edit keyword tag. Okay. This is the synonym. All right. Anatidae, however you pronounce it. Okay. And it's going to export that containing keyword. I'll get into this in a little bit. All right. But because I checked it, any keyword that is entered into any of these slots here, it's going to add it to these images. So if we go back up here, all right, enter keywords and containing, all right, there's birds. Here we go. Keywording, there we go. Everything else is filled in. All right. Okay. So you can really automate how you fill out certain things. Okay. All right. So that's a little bit clunky. Actually, let me go ahead and delete these because oh, wait a minute. Wrong one. Come on. Why am I? Okay, there we go. Make sure I get rid of those. Okay. I don't want that poor kid labeled as a Canadian goose. All right. So this is your complete keyword list. All right. The nice thing about this also is that you can, it's going to trap everything that you type in. All right. Whenever you give a keyword to a global keyword on ingest, it's going to add it to this list if it's not already there. Okay. right next to it, it's going to give you a running count of how many images contain that keyword. All right. And then you'll notice that as I hover over it, you're going to see a little arrow. All right. So the nice thing is that if I click on any one of those, let's go 9/11 Memorial. If I click on that little arrow, all right, it's going to populate my my work area with the images that are labeled with that keyword. Okay, so I can go to any one of these. Let's see what's in it. All right. All right, there's a perfect example of a global keyword. All right, this was taken at an event. All right, ribbon cutting. So everything got labeled with the name of the venue. All right, so that's a global keyword. All right, within that global keyword, I could have individual keywords as well. All right, but everything gets entered into this list. So it's a good thing in one respect because you can very easily go through that list and fiddle around with it. The bad thing is it gets very, very long. Okay, so you can see that I'm just in the numbers up here. All right, and if I scroll down, I'm in the A's, the B's, the C's, the D's. All right, I'm not even anywhere near the end of the alphabet. So this can get very, very, very long. All right, but the good thing about this is that you can drag and drop these if you want. It's a little clunky to do it that way, you know, but you can very easily drag and drop into categories if you want. All right, not the way I would suggest it, but it can be done. All right. Now, one of the nice things about this is that you can do a search right from this tab for a specific keyword. All right. All right. Just by typing in, let's see, Jeep. All right. I put in the keyword Jeep and I get 2 hits. All right. The Jeep rally and just the word Jeep. Okay. So I can pull up all the images with that very specific keyword just by typing it into the search bar here. Okay. Then the other thing you can do is if you know it, you can use comma delimited text here. But oftentimes, you know, it's hard to remember exactly what you labeled something. So what I'll do is, if you notice, once it populates it in the middle here, it's going to give you this toolbar at the top, all right, or this filter section at the top, and you can filter by searching for additional text. All right, so you can go to text, all right, and you can search by any searchable field. All right, so here we go. Any keyword that contains, all right, a specific keyword, all right, is my buddy Tim. So Tim is a local keyword that I've used because I've gone on many Jeep excursions with many different people, all right? But these are all the ones of either Tim is in the image or his Jeep is in the image. So I'm able to narrow down from my library images that are very specific to what I'm looking for. Okay. if I want to, I can further, reduce my search, all right, with any one of these headings, all right. So here, if you just click on this little drop down here, all right, you can search by any of these criteria, all right. So here it is, flag. I want to search by flagged images, okay. And let's go by color. Where's my color? Label. No. What is it? Where's my file flag rating? Is it? Nope, not rating. Where's color? Okay. I'm not seeing color. I think it's because, attribute here, right here. Attribute, color, anything that is green. Oh, nothing green. All right. Maybe blue? Nope, nothing blue. Okay. All right. So I never really labeled any of those. All right. But I can go ahead and say, okay, this one's going to be a green. All right. So now I can further reduce to just that one. Okay. So again, you have to be consistent. You have to be diligent, all right, with your keywording, and it'll help with your workflow. All right. So now you know how to enter keywords. All right. We need to get ourselves a little bit more organized. All right. So let me go here. We're going to click none. Okay. Within this keyword set, all right, just like in like the presets and all that, there's a little plus arrow. That little plus arrow will open up a dialog box that allows you to enter your own custom keywords. All right. So normally when we enter keywords, we do it through one of those input boxes. But alternatively, if you want to be a little bit more robust about it, you can do it here. All right. So for example, if you need to create a label, you can't really do that with just entering a common keyword, right? Because remember what I said earlier, labels, headings are not regular keywords, okay? So they behave slightly differently, all right? So here we're going to do a main heading. So I'm going to use my convention of a exclamation point, okay? Main heading, all right? And I'm going to use all caps because I want this title to shout out at me, okay? Now, the second part is synonyms. Synonyms are terms that are related to the word and the whatever is in the keyword name, all right? So whatever is in here, all right, if it has a synonym, you can add it below, okay? So for example, the word car, all right, can also be vehicle, can also be automobile, all right? So here's a great way if you want to add additional keywords without having to always type them out because they all represent the same thing. You want to create synonyms, all right? So here is where you would put in synonyms, but because this is a main heading, I'm not going to use a synonym, okay? Because this is just a reminder to me that this is just to organize things, all right? So I'm going to make sure that where it says keyword tag options, I'm going to uncheck include on export because I don't want that keyword exported with anything that's labeled as a main heading. Okay? And it's going to uncheck everything else below it. Okay? And it's saying, all right, create options. All right. Now the cursor was over here when I pressed the plus symbol. So it says, it's asking me, do you want me to put this new heading inside the heading animals? All right. In this case, I don't. I want it to be my top level heading. All right. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to add it to the selected folder? A selected photo. I have one photo selected, but because this is a heading, again, I don't want it. So I'm going to say no. All right. Make sure that's unclicked. So I'm going to hit create and it puts it in right here. Okay. Right there. Main heading. There's my main heading. Okay. Now I'm going to create another keyword tag. All right. Keyword tag. All right. And let's say, so this will be my first level heading beneath my main heading. All right. So it's going to be an @ symbol, space, first heading. Okay. First heading. Okay. And let's, in the case of cars, okay, if I have the main heading saying it's cars, all right, I don't want the @ symbol and the all caps cars entered as a keyword. Instead, I want a synonym entered as a keyword. Okay? So I'm going to enter it into this here. And if there are multiple synonyms that go along with it, you can do it just comma delimited. Okay? So now, whenever I tag something with this, it's not going to tag it. When it embeds the keyword, it's not going to embed this part. It's going to embed this part. All right, make sense? All right. Do I want to include it on export? Yes. Export containing keywords? No. All right, that's the keyword. I don't want that keyword. Oh, wait a minute. No. Wrong way. Include on export? No. I don't want the keyword included. All right. Do I want to export any containing keywords? The answer is yes. So any keywords below this in my subcategories, I want. All right. And I also want to export that synonym. All right. Okay. And it's asking if it's a person. All right. In this case, it's not, so I'm not going to select it. But the nice thing about it is this works well in conjunction with Lightroom's face recognition, which I don't think we ever touched on really. But if you take a lot of pictures of people, you can have Lightroom automatically detect faces and label them. All right. So at that point, if the tag is like somebody's name, then you would say yes. All right, this is a person. But in this case, it's not. All right. And creation options, yes, I want to put it inside my main heading. All right. And do I want to include that selected image? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. All right. And I'm going to create. Okay. So now here I have my main heading. All right. main heading. And then underneath that, I have my subheading, all right, my first heading underneath that, okay? And if we look at this, all right, here's my first heading, all right, entered in, all right? And I think I did something wrong because it was supposed to do the synonym, all right, synonym. Edit keyword, don't include, cancel, all right. Edit keywords. Include on export, all right. So I think I did have this backwards, all right. Include on export, export containing keywords, no. All right, and then save. Save, all right. Let's go back up here. Let me uncheck and check. All right. Of course, when you want something to work properly, it doesn't, right? Give me 1 second. Let me refer to my notes. Enter the keyword. Add synonyms, which is similar words. Include on export. Selecting this will tell Lightroom to export the keyword name, all right, which is what I don't want. Include, export, all right, export synonym. Save, all right. Okay. Let's try that again. Let me delete that. Maybe it's hanging on from previous. All right. So keyword list, keyword. There we go. Huh. Oh, wait a minute. This is why. There we go. This is why. Where this little drop down, we want to see the keywords and containing keywords. All right. That'll show us our structure. All right. And if we just will export, it'll show us just what's going to export. Okay. So that's what I did wrong. I'm sorry. This right here will let you know, will let you see how it actually exports. All right. Otherwise, it'll show you the structure. All right. Main heading, first heading. All right. It's also got, my photo workshop tag on there and so forth. All right. But if you want to enter keywords, you got to make sure you're in enter keywords. That'll allow you to manually enter here. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. So if I put on will export, that's what it's going to show. Okay. So we'll go back to our keyword. Within this, I'm going to create another one. All right. And in this case, I can go ahead and do a subheading, which I don't, for this purpose, I don't think we need it. So, we don't need to have multiple subheadings if only one or two suffice. At this point, I'm going to put in my first keyword. All right. All right. So I'll do a keyword. All right. And keeping with the convention, all right, lowercase, singular, to keep it consistent. Okay. And the synonym, I'm going to put in slide. Okay. And workshop. All right. And whatever other words you want associated with this one keyword. All right. You can have multiple ones if it makes sense that they all have the same synonym. Okay. Include on export. Yes. Export containing keywords. Absolutely. Export synonyms. Absolutely. Do I want to put inside the first heading? Absolutely. And do I want to add it to my selected image? Absolutely. we create. Okay? And now we come here, we drop this down, and there it is. All right? Main heading, first heading, keyword. All right? And it's selected. So now we go up here. All right, there we go. Heading 1, keyword, Photoshop slide workshop. All right, everything is automatically filled in. All right, so now, all right, any questions on how to do that? All right, how to create a keyword with that method? We good? All right. Now, if you're like me, you already have a bunch of keywords already established. All right. So you might say, okay, I want to take a keyword that I already have. Here's one that says cheesecake. All right. Click on the arrow. There's all the images of a cheesecake. All right. I want to edit this. So if we right click, right down here, we say edit keyword tag. All right. And here it is. Okay. We can say cheesecake. Well, cheesecake is a cake. It's also a dessert. All right. If you do stock photography, all right, you might say, well, every time I upload a photo of a cheesecake, I also add the other terms such as pastry. Pastry. All right. Delicious. Creamy. All right. All these little descriptive words you can add into the synonym, because keeping them here kind of declutters your method, your workflow. All right. So that way you don't really have to think about it. Okay. If you know that a particular type of image also gets additional tags, build it into this process. So that way, all you got to do is say, all right, what's the main subject here? It's a piece of cheesecake. All I have to do is look for that one keyword, enter it in, and it'll automatically fill in all the rest of that stuff. All right. And then I'll say save. Okay. Save. We go back up. Keyword. All right. Keyword will export. There it is. Baked, cake, cheesecake, creamy, delicious, dessert. Oh, I forgot one. Food, pastry. All right. So that's one way of a mindless way of automating your keywording process without really, pulling your hair out. All right. However, as you notice, it requires a little bit of effort at the beginning. Okay. So this is one of those tasks that I normally refer to as monkey work. When you go back and try to catch up your library to your new workflow. Okay. Moving forward, it tends to be easy once you start implementing the new technique. Moving forward, should get to the point where it's second nature. So as soon as you create a tag, you'll want to populate it with the synonyms. But if you already have a bunch of tags, while you're sitting down, maybe listening to the TV or you're listening to the radio, you got a few minutes, just go back through your tag library, your keyword library, and go in and say, well, this one I use all the time. I'm going to append it with a bunch of synonyms. That way I don't have to do any of the thinking about what other tags goes into it. Just make sure that the tags are all related. Okay? You don't want to say, for example, the keyword bird, I'm going to also put in the color brown, because not all birds are brown. So you don't want to have the synonym brown in there. All right? However, to my knowledge, pretty much all North American or even the Connecticut birds have feathers. All right? So you can have feather as one of the synonym. Okay? Work the synonyms according to how you shoot, or what you shoot, I should say, and what your workflow is. All right. Okay. Any questions so far? Good. Shall we get into some mind blowing and call it a night?
Sure.
All right. Here it is. Where am I? Right here. Okay. This is a spreadsheet. This is a spreadsheet of my current keyword list. All right. And you'll notice that there is a hierarchy here. All right. So if you look, all right, here's my animals. Here's my birds. All right, birds. Okay. Within that, I have the synonym bird. Okay. Birds, bird, singular. All right. And then there I have the Latin name. All right. As a heading. All right. With the synonym that will automatically fill in for that. So this is the family. This is the genus, or however it is. I don't remember. I'm not a bird guy. This was set up as an example. All right. So the Latin name. Okay. And it's going to automatically fill in that Latin name, and then the common name, and then there's the synonym for that. All right. So you can build a keyword list in a spreadsheet if you want. Okay. Just realize.
Did you export that, Doc?
Or
did you build it?
I exported. I built the one for Ireland. Let's see if I can get to the one for Ireland. I actually built. Let's see.
But I guess my question
Ireland.
is,
here it is.
were you able to export the list from Lightroom to
Yes.
get it into Excel, or did you build it from in Excel to
Oh,
begin
okay. So, all right. So what I did for this, let me go back to Lightroom. Okay. You're going to go to your menu, okay, up here. All right. And where was it? Let's see if I can remember. Metadata, export keywords.
Oh.
All right. Metadata, export keywords. All right. And it's going to save it as a comma delimited text file. All right. So here's the text file I exported just before the class today. Lightroom Keywords 2021. I gave it that name. All right. All right. So by default, it'll just call it Lightroom Keywords. Okay. And it'll give it the extension TXT. All right. So you're able to edit that in a text document. All right. Once I had my text document, I like using Google products. So I went and created a Google Sheet. and I went File, Import, Upload, and then I dragged that text file here. All right. If you use Excel, you can do the same exact thing. File, Import, look for that text file, and because it's already preset as a comma delimited file, all right, it's going to automatically create the hierarchy that you see here. All right. So each one of these, or I should say, each one of these 2 columns is one heading. 2 columns, 1 heading. All right. So what I want you to look at, don't worry about the animals because it's not really, set up. But look at the birds. All right. Here we have birds as my main heading, and you don't see anything else there. All right. However, you see the next line down, 1 column over, the name bird. All right. So keep that in mind. Okay. All right, we're going to go to Lightroom. We're going to go to keyword list. And here we have birds. Okay. And if I click on that little down arrow, you're going to see everything else, right? All right. I'm going to right click and say edit keyword tag. There's my heading and there's my synonym. All right. The synonym bird. Right. And it says export containing keyword. All right. That's that one. No, I'm sorry. Anything that's below it. Export synonyms. All right. That's this word right here. So when we go back to our list, in the curly brackets is where you will put your synonyms. Oh, you know what? Let me move that out of the way. I just realized I was blocking it. All right, birds. The synonym for your main heading goes 1 line down, 1 column over. Okay? All right, so now if we look at this, all right, actually, let me label that. Where's my color? Color. Oh, here we go. Let me color that green. Okay. My next level down. All right. We see it here. My next level down are 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 with the little arrows here. 1, 2, 3, 4 with the at symbol. Okay. When we come here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Those are my subheadings. Okay. And then if we come here and we open this up, we see the subheading to that. All right, my level 2 heading. All right, because it's got 2 at symbols. Okay.
Yep.
My level 2 heading is right here. All right. So main heading, level 1 heading, subheading, level 2 subheading. All right. And then I have my keyword, all right, title and synonym, all right. Okay. However, there's also this one here, all right, which is the term bird, all right, which is a leftover from when I was just entering the term bird into my catalog. Okay. So that has a bunch of images already associated. What I did is I just dragged it into here. All right. And it put it below these right here, my main categories. All right. So you see first column, first first level, second column, second level, third column, third level. Okay? And so on. Now, you don't want to make too many levels deep. Okay? Some people will say, well, 4 levels is too deep. I don't want to go 4 levels. All right? Because if you have 4 heading levels, that means your actual keyword is on level 5. Some people may not want to dig down that deep. All right? So you may say, well, for me, it makes better sense to just have 1 or 2 headings and then the keyword. All right? Again, you can build it the way it fits your workflow. Okay? But it also depends on what you're trying to organize. All right? So in this case, it's a very specialized list. All right? So it required these different levels. All right, because here we have the common name, and then we have the actual keyword. Okay. All right. So you can build your own list. All right. And all you got to do is keep in mind that any heading that you want to use, the heading, all right, it's going to be in square brackets. All right, so these are, yep, go ahead.
Sorry, does the square brackets came from Lightroom, or did you put those in?
Came from Lightroom. All right.
You.
So when you are building your own outside of Lightroom, all right, you open up a spreadsheet. You can just, generate a new spreadsheet, give it a name, whatever you want. All right. Let's say, well, Jill, what do you like photographing?
I go to the zoo a lot.
You go, okay. Let's say, for example, you go to the Beardsley Zoo all the time. Okay. And you want to create a keyword list that is very specific to the Beardsley Zoo. So because you've gone there, you already know that they have a, limited selection of animals. So you're not going to list every single animal under the sun in this keyword list. You're just going to populate it with the animals that are at the zoo. All right. And because you want to be a little bit of a nerd about it, you're going to give them their Latin names because you've researched it. Okay. And maybe you're going to create 2 categories or 3 categories. All right. Based on maybe where they're located. All right. So you may have the avians and you'll have the reptiles. Okay. And then you'll have, one for all the caged animals, the
big cats.
The big cats. All right. Or maybe even something a little bit more encompassing that, not just the big cats, but the red panda and the bears and the, whatever else they have there when they're, and then they'll maybe a little section for the farm animals. Okay. So that way you can go to the heading that represents a particular section of the zoo. All right. So now hopefully you're following how these custom generated keyword lists can be very powerful when you customize it to what you shoot. All right. So you can have a heading for the farm section, and in there you'll have the goats, the geese, the owl, the ducks, and so on. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And so you'll have the main heading, all right, which will be Beardsley Zoo. Okay. And you're going to put that in square brackets. All right. The square brackets lets Lightroom know not to treat it as a regular keyword. All right. It's going to treat it as a label. Okay. But you also want the keyword Beardsley Zoo. So for that, you're going to put in, actually, you know what? Here. Let me just do it. I'm just going to do it. let me go new Google Sheets. Okay. We'll create one right here. All right. Square bracket, Beardsley Zoo. Oh, no. See, I'm already doing it wrong. Square bracket, exclamation point, Beardsley in all caps.
Yep.
Zoo. All right. And yep, close to. All right. So there's my main heading. Right, one line down, one column over, in curly brackets is my synonym. All right. And because Beardsley Zoo is a proper noun, I'm going to capitalize it.
Take the N out, Duck.
Yeah, I can spell. All right, Beardsley Zoo. All right. So now this is associated with Beardsley Zoo. All right. It's telling, when it gets imported, it's going to tell Lightroom that this is going to be a synonym for this heading. So instead of exporting exclamation point Beardsley Zoo in all caps, it's going to replace it with Beardsley Zoo as a proper noun. Below that, we're going to do another. All right, my first level heading my first level subheading. All right, farm. All right, or what? Petting zoo.
Farm's good.
Yeah.
Either's good.
Farm or petting zoo, whichever one makes sense to you. All right. And now, here's where you have to make your first choice. Farm is a label for that particular part of the zoo, but it's not really a farm. So do you want to use the keyword farm for this? Does it add anything to your organization, or does it take away? In my thinking is, if I am looking for an actual farm, I don't want to be inundated with petting zoo images. Exactly. Yep. All right. So I may exclude this, or I'm just going to put in curly brackets, petting zoo. All right. Because that to me is what that farm section of the zoo is really is. All right. They call it farm animals, but we know it as a petting zoo, right?
Yep.
All right, so we have level 1, level 2, and then level 3. All right. At this point, you can say, all right, do I want another subheading? Is there a category that those animals can be grouped into, that are separate from each other? Okay. Because if we think about it, what's at the petting zoo? Well, we have the billy goats, we have the geese, we have the ducks. All right. We have the owl is there. The barn cat is there. Okay. And who knows what else? All right. Maybe a couple cows. All right. So we can say, well, you know what? There's two. There's livestock and there's fowl. All right. Or we can say birds. All right. We can say birds because that includes the owl. All right. Or we can say fowl, and just we know that we're going to include the owl in there. Okay. All right. So we can create two subheadings. All right. Let's see. Domestics. Right. And fowl. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then here, we'll move this down, give ourselves some room. All right. And then there, within the domestics, we have our goats. Let's say there's a horse. There's a pig. Oh, here. Let me see. This is again. We're gonna think. Consistency is going to be goat, not goats. Yep. All right, because we could take a picture of a single goat or multiple goats. There's the cat.
Your wife is on line 1. Excuse me, sir. Your
All right.
wife is on line 1.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, sir. Your wife is on line 1.
All right. And then anything else. Okay. And then underneath fowl, you're going to have goose, duck, owl, and whatever other animal comes into play. All right.
Yep.
Okay. And of course, once we have everything else, we'll close up that. And now we can actually export that. Let's see.
You mean import that?
Import it. Yes. So no. I'm sorry. I was right. We have to export.
You gotta export it from here before you can import it?
We have to export this because we want to generate a comma delimited. All right. File. Download.
It's right. Comma separated values. It's right down there.
There it is. There we go. Okay.
Oh, did you tab it or comment it?
What did I file?
I thought you
download.
hit tab, but
Yep, you're right. Comma separated. There we go. Okay. So show in folder. All right. I did not give it a name. So let's just call that Lightroom test. All right. Just so we know. Okay.
Yep.
There we go. Okay. So we have our CSV file. All right. We're going to go to Lightroom. Okay. We're going to go metadata, import keywords, downloads. We're going to look for all files. Lightroom test, open. Okay.
Problem.
And illegal characters. What did I?
Such as, or they were converted to. Well, it says it still brought him in, so we'll be able to tell what you did wrong.
All right. So I of course I didn't double check everything here. So good call. Yeah. No, it should be fine. Unless, that should be fine. Those are.
It looks like what it didn't like is the blank columns in front of it. Like if you look at Goat in Lightroom, it has the 3 dashes in front of it. Like it didn't like the 3 empty columns before, right? See how they all have the 3 dashes?
Yeah.
And it said it converted all the illegal characters as.
All right, so let's go. Okay. You know what? Let's.
Yeah, because it did the same thing with the domestics and fowl. It only has the 2, so it didn't like the blank columns.
Okay, so I'm gonna remove all those.
Yeah.
Let me go. Oh, wait a minute.
Interesting.
Delete those. Delete. All right, let's try the other one. All right. Import all files.
Oh, the TSV file?
Yeah, let's see if there we go. All right. So it wanted the tab delimited.
You wanted tab separated. Okay.
Oh, that's really weird because it exports a comma delimited. Oh, actually,
Interesting.
yeah. Let me just double check. Did I? All right. Oh no. All right. My bad. It did export a tab delimited. Okay.
Okay.
So that's where I went wrong. It does export tab delimited. So it's tab delimited. Comma delimited is when you manually enter it. Tab delimited. Yeah.
You can do all of your keyword then building outside
Correct.
of Lightroom.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this is, again, this is when you need those specialized lists. I won't say spend time building a custom list just for general stuff. All right. But like your example, with the zoo, you may consider that. You may consider creating one. All right. Because now within that, all right, your goat. Okay. Let's move this down. Okay. Within the goat keyword, you can also create a synonym for Latin name for goat, comma, another, or let's say Billy, all right?
And Nanny.
Nanny. Well, oh yeah, all right. So here you got to be careful. All right, Billy goat is usually male. Nanny goat is usually female.
Yeah.
All right. You can, be as picky as you want. Oh, okay. Here we go. No, we'll do it even better. We'll put Billy goat there. All right. And we'll put, all right, Billy Goat, all right, and, another name, all right. So you can do comma delimited, okay. We're going to insert row below, okay, and we'll call this one Nanny Goat, okay. And we're going to insert row below. All right. And we're going to give this, her Latin name. And a pseudonym. Okay. So now you don't have to worry about thinking what is the genus name? What is the family name? What is the, the Latin terms for all these things? You enter it once because while you're building your list, you're actually doing the research. Okay. And you say, well, here it is. I've done the research. There's the Latin name. All I have to know is, am I looking at a Billy goat or a nanny goat? Okay. And if you're familiar enough, you can, make the determination. If you're not, you know what? Keep it simple. Call a goat. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then of course, file export, as TSV. So it'll be tab delimited, list. Okay. And then you'll import it and all that will be in there. Okay, so let's try download tab separated values. Okay, go back over. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and remove that, delete. Okay, so metadata, import keywords, all files. This is the latest one. Open. Oh, okay. Illegal.
Didn't like something.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be able to figure it out.
Oh, it didn't like the comma.
Oh, didn't
okay.
like the comma.
Okay. Oh, that's weird. All right. All right. So here's Beardsley Zoo. There's farm, domestics, billy goat, cat, nanny goat. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So we go edit keyword tag. There we go. Latin name for go, another name. Everything's in there. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. All right. So that was
My head's
the.
swimming.
Yeah.
My head is swimming.
I did my job. Yes.
My head was swimming earlier, but it's clearer now that he did that. He showed me how it worked. I like that.
I'm gonna have to watch the video a couple of times for this one.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of information here.
It is complex, and while we did dig into the bowels of Lightroom keywording with this last bit, all right, most people don't need to delve into it that deeply. All right, so hopefully just the organizing part satisfies most people's needs. Okay, but now you know it's available should you need it, which is the important part. Okay.
Oh, great! Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. If at any point you're stuck with anything, just give me a holler, and I'll be more than happy to help you out.
See, this is my emote from the zoo. What you're looking
It's
at.
very cute. They can be nasty.
I know, but he was far enough away that I just used my zoom lens and, got him. His head came up high enough over the fence that the fence went away.
Yeah. Cool. You ever been to, have you ever been to the Umbrella Factory? It's called the Umbrella Factory. Yeah, Umbrella Factory in Rhode Island.
No.
It's a pretty famous local place. I can't remember exactly where. I'd have to look it up. But it's literally a small greenhouse stand. It's a farm. They have a couple of big greenhouses. You can buy all kinds of like pitcher plants and Venus flytraps and a few other little exotic orchids and unusual plants in there. And then in the back, they have a couple of emus. And then they also have not really a maze, but they have this grove of bamboo that they've made these kind of like paths through. It's pretty cool. And it's open to the public. You can wander the grounds. They have all kinds of little paths through the gardens. Last time I was there, it wasn't very well manicured garden, but it was definitely interesting. They had little statues and gazing balls and an old decrepit trellis, some old milk cans. So definitely a lot of things to photograph. This huge, beautiful weeping willow overlooking the parking lot, great place to go for a photo outing.
Yeah, it looks like the Fantastic Umbrella Factory.
Yeah, that's it. So it's been a while since I've been there, but hopefully they're still in business.
Well, they still have a website, so who knows?
Cool.
We'll see after the pandemic, right?
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on this snowy evening. Please
As
be
always,
safe.
I learned stuff.
Cool. All right. It was a very small group tonight, so please let your friends know we're doing this Monday nights. I know today's unusual because, North Haven and New Haven camera clubs and all that, but hopefully next Monday we'll be back to...
You know what you're going to talk about next Monday yet?
I have... I think I wrote down a note. I'd have to find my note.
Okay.
But off the top of my head, I don't think I have anything set in stone for it. So, always open for suggestions. Okay.
Take care.
All righty, guys.
Thanks, Duck. Night, Alan.
Have a good one.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.